So small doses and, very similar to humans, start off with, very small dose and see what happens and that sort of thing. But I find with animals, they resonate and they take on a lot quicker in some aspects than humans do.
Welcome to the Well with Cannabis podcast, a show dedicated to telling the life-changing stories of those who live well with cannabis, all while teaching you how to do the same. Meet your host, Emily Kyle, a registered dietitian nutritionist turned certified holistic cannabis practitioner. Emily changed her life for the better with the help of the cannabis plant, and now she is committed to helping others do the same. Tune in each week to hear heartwarming stories and gain the knowledge you need to feel connected, inspired, and supported on your own cannabis journey. Whether you're a new cannabis consumer or a lifetime lover, you'll benefit from these uplifting tales of real-life journeys that will show you how you too can live your best life well with cannabis.
Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to share a note on potentially sensitive content. The episodes on the Well with Cannabis podcast are created for adult audiences only. We will at times cover sensitive topics including, but not limited to, suicide, abuse, mental illness, sex, drugs, alcohol, psychedelics, and the obvious use of plant medicine. Explicit language may be used occasionally. Please refrain from watching or listening to the show if you're likely to be offended or adversely impacted by any of these topics. The information on this show is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. If any of the content on this podcast has brought up anything for you, please reach out or speak to a professional or someone you trust.
And see what we can find. So we decided, well, that's a last resort. We'll just do that. And she had a multitude of sinus cavities, which never actually went anywhere. They were all ended. And the bacteria that she had, they said, was very normal. It was like a staph infection. And he just said, well, I've opened her up. And of course, after probably about a week or so after her operation, it came back again. So we thought, well, that was a bit of a waste, but at least we knew it wasn't fully internal. And he just said, look, all I can do is offer you antibiotics. And I'm like, oh. So I said, oh, I don't think so. We'll have to work something out. And actually, a girlfriend of mine, she said to me, "Have you tried cannabis?" And I'm like, "No." And she said, "Well, I can get you something, and you can just give it a go." And so, and obviously, it came in this little jar that I didn't even know really how they made it or what it was. And we just started putting it in her food. And it was, I think, within probably about 2 months, it started to clear up. And then within probably about 4 to 5 months, it was all gone. And then, so that was great. And that actually started my journey of looking into, well, okay, what's the medicinal aspects of this plant? What is it actually doing? So, but it did actually return. I took her off of it and it returned again in 3 months. So I thought, well, we'll have to put her back on it again. So we did, and then I think she stayed she was on it for another about 9 months before we took her off of it again. But now, because she's actually, she's about 13 now, she actually has it every single day because, she's got a little bit of arthritis and different bits and pieces that are happening. And I just find she's happier, healthier, and better on it as well. So she just has a few drops of it in her food every single day. And sort of that's it. But, I was just totally amazed. And the last vet that I saw, they said, oh, it's what we've done has worked. And I said, no, it hasn't. And I was honest with them. And I said, well, the infection came back straight away after she'd had her antibiotics. And they said, well, what did you use? And I told them, and they said, oh, excellent. So they were quite happy that I had used it. And they actually said that especially in animals, they are starting to see now a lot of antibiotic-resistant infections. So, and she didn't have anything that was, odd or different. It wasn't going. So, yeah. So now we keep an eye, but she hasn't had anything for a good couple of years now. So, and it hasn't come back.
I'm so happy to hear such a success story and that you still have her and she's living her best doggy life later on in life. Now, I'm interested. You said you work as a naturopath and an herbalist, and you said that this kind of opened your mind up to the possibilities of cannabis. Explain that a little bit and how that worked after. Well,
obviously, as a teenager, you do experiment with cannabis and things like that. And I probably, I did have it, and I did have, how would you say, a bit of a strange experience when I was younger in that sort of thing, and I never touched it again and never thought about the plant really. Most of the times people start talking about, they call it, all sorts of different names under the sun. And, you just think, oh, yeah, I don't know, just in learning more about it and opening your mind to the medicinal aspects. I've done a lot of studies with Tammy Sweet. I'm not sure if you've heard of her.
I saw you mentioned her. Yeah. Herbalist, right?
So I've done a lot of her courses to learn a little bit more, book research. Plus, I also work with the plant spirit. So I have set up a little sanctuary where I live, working with plants and the spirit of plants. So I just think it's really just opened up a whole aspect of different respect and understanding for the plant. But as I said, unfortunately, over here, it's one of the things that is still Australia is really far behind in what the US are doing. So cannabis is still quite...
May I ask for my U.S. listeners, what does it look like in Australia? Is it illegal? Is it decriminalized? Give us a little bit of a background.
Yeah. So I actually did a little bit of research last night looking at the whole aspect. So in my state where I am, it's illegal. So you're not allowed to grow. You're not allowed to have a possession. They do roadside testing and things like that, similar to what they do for alcohol. But pretty much it's interesting because it's like for the general population, for us, we're not allowed to grow it, we're not allowed to have it. But there are now some doctors that can dispense in that sort of aspect. There's actually there is one clinic that I do know of that you can go to and get a prescription for it, but the legalities of it are just very confusing. So, some say if you get tested, even if you have a prescription, you can still get fined or, different bits and pieces. It's all very confusing. The only area that state that it is basically the Capital Territory, where you are allowed to grow, I think 2 plants per person, and you are allowed to have a certain amount of grams on you in that sort of aspect. So, but you're not allowed to smoke it in public, so or use it in public. So, and that's all where the politicians are. That state.
Same as in the United States here. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you see progress being made? Are you hopeful for the future for cannabis?
I am. And in some aspects, there is progress that's being made. And unfortunately, over here, it is, I feel that it's very much taken over by the pharmaceutical industry. So, they're allowed to do what they do and make. But for me, especially being a naturopath and a herbalist and having passion for plants, it's a plant that should belong to all of us, not just the pharmaceutical companies. So when I look at what it has done for other people as well, into the aspect of improving their health and well-being. So, yeah, but... It's amazing how much it is out there. in that sort of aspect, and it sort of is easily accessible for people.
I was going to ask, like, can you get it? Like, do a lot of people use it? So it is prevalent.
It is, even though it's not the, in that sort of aspect. So, but at this stage, we have what we call a Therapeutic Goods Association. We call the TGA, and it doesn't look like they have approved it under their banner because there hasn't been enough evidence or study in regards to it. So, but there's a lot more information out there about it now. I think the one thing that people do find difficult is the dosage aspect. So, like working with that, or what sort of preparation they may take. So, but it is, it's everywhere in that sort of aspect. So, yeah, in that sort of way.
If somebody is listening and they're from Australia and they're listening to you, do you have advice for them? And if they are feeling like they want to try cannabis but don't know where to start, what would you recommend for them?
Just to talk to someone that they feel knows or has information or can help them in that sort of aspect. So, and let's say buy from a reputable place, but there are people out there that are making good medicine too. So, or learn as much as you can and try and do it yourself. Then you know what you're using and what you're consuming into your body and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
That is perfect advice. I just want to ask, have you had the opportunity to grow one yet?
Maybe.
Isn't it the most exciting experience to watch it grow?
I think that's the thing with any medicine, like herbal medicine, and that sort of aspect is, and that's one way to really connect yourself with the plant, is to grow, harvest, make medicine. So on all levels, mind, body, spirit. So
I need to tap into your herbalist wisdom, and I need to ask you about your 5-element plant spirit healing work. Can you tell us more about that? I'm super interested.
So basically, I form relationship with the plant. So I use a lot of shamanic processes, a lot of journeying, growing with the plants, spending time with the plants. So pretty much they become my beloveds. So with 5-element plant spirit healing, I use it's actually a form of acupressure. So I use 5-element acupressure that I've learnt here. And basically when the plants become, they become within you. So you can actually work with them, and you may be able to, you can transfer that energy to a acupressure point to help unlock and release something. And the 5-element acupressure works very much on, the spiritual aspect as well as the physical aspect as well, and the emotional being. So it's a beautiful process. Plant spirit healing is, you don't have to be with the plant for it to work. You can work with the energy aspect and the spirit of that plant too. So it's very much, what I've done is very much of a combination of a couple of different things that I've learned. So I actually traveled to the US a few years ago, and my mentor is, and my teacher is Pam Montgomery. So I'm not sure if you've heard of her. She's in Vermont. So she came over to Australia a few years back, and there was quite a few of us that went through her plant spirit healing training and plant spirit communication with her too. So, yeah.
Oh, fun.
I don't know if I've explained it very well, but yeah.
The more I learn about cannabis, the more I become interested in other plants. And herbalism is something that I am so interested in. Can you talk a little bit about how you incorporate that with cannabis in your everyday life to support your health and wellness?
as in like on a plant spirit level, or
or both, however you use it.
So, well, the cannabis aspect, like on a physical level, obviously a lot of people with pain, I recommend in that sort of aspect. Depression, people that can't seem to move forward, that they're suffering a lot, or anxiety as well, that can really help. I find a lot of people that turn to using cannabis generally are on the last time frame of their earthly experience. So whether a lot of it is, cancer, they're dying of cancer, so they're in significant pain, or there's people that want to try it because they have cancer. So, on a physical aspect. But if I think on a spiritual level, or a plant spirit level, it's like, cannabis is a very big power plant. It's got a lot of guts, and it's very, deserves a lot of respect in that sort of aspect. It's almost like it creates a container for you to feel safe in and experience things as well. So,
I love the way you said that. Creates a container for you to feel safe. And I've talked to so many people about how cannabis helps them feel like it brings them back to their self, brings them confidence. But I've never heard anyone describe it that way. And I really like that. That's a great way to really kind of it's hard to sum up into words what cannabis can do, but I like that.
Yeah. And I really like how you described your journey as well into the aspect of using cannabis. Yeah.
And I just find it so amazing that so many people can come to it for so many different reasons, whether it's pain, anxiety, depression, and it can still help on so many different levels. And I find a lot of people, once they get what they want, pain relief, anxiety relief, depression relief, they find that cannabis brings them other benefits as well that they didn't even know that they could experience, whether it's an emotional uplift or a spiritual journey. I feel like this plant is so much more than we give it credit for.
Definitely. And sometimes I'll say to people, think about using externally as well. So whether it's on an area that is, painful and needing healing, whether it's like just an aching knee or an aching back, and that sort of, I find, people who seem to have good success with that. Yeah. So
we talk a lot about people, but I said this was the only episode we've talked about pets before. So
get back onto the pet topic.
Don't have to. No, it works perfect for all of us. But for whoever's listening and they're thinking about using cannabis for their pet, what advice do you give them on how they can get started?
So obviously, I dispense it in my dog's food. So some people will give it orally as well. So, a few drops. But I just find the drop aspect is a little bit hard to, if you're squeezing it down. I use more tincture than I use oil. I find my dog really likes the tincture. So, but start off small. And animals don't need as much as what we like. They don't have the emotional baggage that we do.
So true. Wow, I never thought of it that way.
So small doses, and very similar to humans. Start off with very small dose and see what happens and that sort of thing. But I find with animals, they resonate and they take on a lot quicker in some aspects than humans do. So, but it's and the thing that I love is, even if you do give too much, it wears off in that sort of aspect. You're not going to shut down their respiratory system, because there's no really such thing as an overdose. You can take too much, you just got to wear it off, right? In that sort of thing. It was interesting. One of the things that papers that I did some research with last night, because I thought, well, maybe I should really look into the law and all that sort of thing. And they had this pamphlet and it said overdosing with cannabis. And I'm like, but you can't. You know, you can overdose with a pharmaceutical drug and it can take your life away, but cannabis, it won't. So, yeah. But pets, yeah, I'd say the only probably, you know, I probably wouldn't give a cat an alcoholic tincture because they can't, you know, maybe go more the oil in that sort of aspect because they have a lot of problems with alcohol, but you can burn it off by adding some really hot water to it. But I think, you know, the dosage can be individual. So, you know, my dog might be on 4 drops and another dog might have 1 drop and be bombed out for the day. It's really, and humans are the same, aren't they, really? So, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But even as simple as, you know, even just the good old hemp oil, adding it into the food, that's something we can have here. Yay. Is hemp oil.
How exciting.
Which people don't realize is cannabis. It's just like, oh, no, it's hemp. I'm like, it's cannabis. And they're like, no, it's hemp. It's cannabis. It's just a word. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom about the pet and that experience. And I'm so glad that your baby's doing so well now.
Yes. And as I said, she's 13 now. So more so I don't give her any for her infection aspect because that left. But I just find because she's always been a bull at a gate her whole life, she's got a lot of injuries. So she has it more so for pain relief or discomfort, probably more that aspect, and general well-being, I reckon. Yeah.
Just like people. Have you connected with a lot of other pet owners who have used cannabis for their pets, or are you kind of the only one you know of?
No, I do know of other people that use it for their animals. Some people know that they'd like to, but they're a bit scared to use it. You know, for some people, the fear of just having it sitting somewhere is too confronting for them because there's that fear of that it's, you know, it's illegal, it's a bad plant and that sort of thing. But you know, as I said, there's in the pharmaceutical aspect, there are places that will dispense it now. But, you know, you're looking at a lot of money for medicine.
Definitely. What advice do you have for those who are scared? And I'm sure you were scared when you first started as well. What advice do you have to anyone who might just need to get over that hump?
Probably just, you know, I think researching a little bit more about the plant and you know, dig deep and be a bit brave. It's a natural being of the earth, really. And you know, I do harp on it a bit, but it's our medicine, so it needs to stay our medicine. So, but yeah, just experiment and see how you go, or talk to someone that might know a bit about it. So I know there's a lot of doctors over here that don't want to prescribe it because there is like they've got processes that they need to do. But I think for people getting it within the medical system, it's becoming a little bit easier. They're just making it harder for people that want to make their own. Yeah.
How do you think most vets are? Do you think they're receptive? You said you had a good experience.
Yeah, I think, you know, they get to the stage, I think, where they say, try it, try whatever, you know, and that sort of thing. So they were actually, I think they made a note of it in that sort of aspect to say, you know, and as I said before, there's a lot of animals out there now that are having, you know, infections that are becoming resistant to antibiotics.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And if cannabis can be a natural solution, I mean, I feel like we have to tell more people about it. That's why I'm so glad we're doing this podcast interview, because people love their pets just as much as they love their children. And if they could find a solution for them, people would do anything for their animal. Absolutely.
So, yeah, so maybe someone that's a bit scared, maybe they should just start off with hemp oil. You know, you're not going to get in trouble for having that in your fridge.
You can get that right at the grocery store. down there?
Yeah. Oh,
good.
I think I'm not sure actually. I haven't seen it in the supermarket, but you can get it in pharmacy, or there's a lot of places online. There's a big in Tasmania. There's a company that grew their own over there to make hemp. So yeah, and we can get hemp seeds, but they're all they're cracked and treated so that you can't sprout them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I really hope that Australia gets on the same path as the States. It sounds like you're in the right direction moving. I just hope they move a little bit faster, because
it would be nice. Yeah.
It would be nice. And I find it special to talk to someone who's literally halfway across the world, but we have this bond over this plant that we all should have the right to use, and that we've all been, just kind of eyes opened with the benefits of it. And it doesn't matter if I'm in the States, it doesn't matter if you're in Australia. This plant is a universal plant, and it can help humans and animals. And I'm just so glad that you came here and shared that with us today.
Thank you. Yeah.
I asked all my guests the same 4 questions. Are you ready for them?
Yes, I'm sort of prepared.
Awesome. Perfect. The first question, what are you most proud of in your life?
In regards to cannabis?
Your choice. Yeah. Some people like it.
I would say.
Totally up to you.
I would say probably, helping my animal and helping. Actually, I do have one other little experience that I'd like to share that's just popped into my head, if that's okay, of using cannabis for animals, is that I live on a rural property, so we have a lot of animals, and we have sheep, and every year, they're just about to lamb now, I get pet lambs. So I had one lamb that was quite sick, and she spent a substantial period of time. Every night I'd put her on a mat next to my bed so that I could keep an eye on her. And unfortunately she did get very sick, so her life was ending. So I promised her that I wouldn't have her in any pain for her last night, and I actually dosed her with cannabis, and she died that night. But when I woke up in the morning, it's like she'd just gone to sleep. So she was actually struggling for breath quite substantially prior, and I knew that she was struggling. So I actually gave her some to keep her nice and relaxed and calm. And she did go. So probably proud of is being able to help those that can't help themselves, really. Yeah.
I'm so sorry for the loss of that little lamb. It's got to be so hard, but if you can provide comfort in that last moment, I'm sure that, that means more than anything.
Exactly. So struggling for breath and being anxious to being calm and just going to sleep was beautiful. Yeah.
Everybody deserves that. Humans and animals, on your last moments on earth here, everyone deserves to be comfortable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Next question. What do you think your life would look like without cannabis?
Well, I probably wouldn't have Winnie here, because the amount of antibiotics that she had would have really wrecked her gut, which would have made her go downhill something. And probably I wouldn't be talking to you.
I know. I always feel like it's so magical that we get brought together this way.
Yeah. So it's taken me on a learning journey that I can help educate others, and I can help them so that they don't feel that it's such a big, scary world in the world of cannabis. Yeah.
We need more people like you, Carmen. If you could go back 10, 20, 30 years ago and give yourself a piece of advice, cannabis related or not, what would it be?
I did put it. Probably I spent a lot of time being afraid of cannabis. So as said, from an experience that I had, so probably be a bit not necessarily be braver, but yeah, don't be afraid. Yeah, don't be afraid. And yeah, step up and form more of a relationship with the plant rather than fear aspect.
Yeah.
Look at it more as a learning curve. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably, we're still sticking with cannabis. So yeah. Yeah.
Last but not least, if you could be remembered for just one thing in the cannabis space or not, what would it be?
Probably more so for helping people, I would say, and support that. Yeah. I think that would be probably just be remembered. I'd probably like to be remembered for lots of things, but, as I said, I've created a beautiful little sanctuary where I live. So for another, a safe place and a safe container for people to experience and feel comfortable in, working with the spirit of plants. So maybe, the sanctuary as well, I'd like to be remembered for. So, yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming here, for sharing your story with
I can talk all day.
I know. I love just the beauty of the plant. We could go on and on. But again, this is our first pet episode, and I'm really excited that you shared this with us, because if other people can help their furry friends too, we always talk about the benefits of cannabis for humans, but our furry friends, our favorite companions, if we can provide them the relief too, it's a win-win, and I just can't thank you enough for sharing that with us today.
That's okay. It's been great. I'm just getting into the mode to it now. It's finished.
Right? Any last words of wisdom for anybody listening, whether they're in Australia or not?
Probably just to get out there and learn more about the plant, and maybe be, probably need more people to step. There's a lot of people that advocate for cannabis over here and that sort of thing. But I think, I'm a big person that the nature should be medicine of the people, not like wound up in red tape and that sort of thing. So, yeah, we'll just keep going one day at a time. Yeah.
One day at a time. Thank you for taking the time to do this with me today. From halfway across the world, I am sending you all my cannabis love. Thank you so much,
and
Carmen.
To you. Thank you.
Congratulations. You've finished another episode of the Well with Cannabis podcast and are one step closer to discovering how you too can live well with cannabis. Thank you for listening in today. We hope this episode has been a helpful and informative one. Please visit EmilyKyleNutrition.com for more information on today's show notes, guest information, recipes, and other resources. If you want more support and encouragement on your cannabis journey, please consider joining the private Well with Cannabis community. In this group, you can connect with like-minded individuals focused on improving their health and wellness through cannabis. Join the group today to continue your journey of wellness together at EmilyKyleNutrition.com.